Alright, I'm gonna try something new today. I made a video yesterday about Charles Simic, his book The World Doesn't End, and how much I think everyone on Earth should read it. It's very good. And if that's how, you're discovering Charles Simic for the first time, I'd be very, very glad to be that point of reference. And so I thought I would try something a little new, which is reading some of my own work, which is an essay titled Walking the Black Cat, which is how I actually discovered, it's an essay I wrote about how I discovered Charles Simic for the first time. And the essay is an excerpt from a book I have forthcoming, hopefully by the end of this year, that I wrote with my writing partner, Sam. The essay is called Walking the Black Cat and Other Divine Magics. So I'm going to read it. I hope you like it. We're trying something new, so we'll see what happens. There is a huge mirror behind the bar. My face looks like shit. Not in a humble, usually I'm very handsome way. More of a, I've been in New York for 3 weeks drinking amounts of alcohol that Bukowski himself would be proud of kind of way. The book in my hand is not a Charles Simic book, not yet at least. Tonight, a cold night in Brooklyn in 2019, I am sitting in a dive bar reading Utopia by Thomas More. Half of its back cover has been chewed and swallowed by a friend's dog. I read it anyway. Soon, and obviously impressed by my philosophical musings and sophisticated choice of drink, gin and tonic, house, I am approached by a stranger. You're wholly anonymous / tiptoeing around importantly, Simic says. Her name is Amani. She smells like crushed tangerines. She saves me from my own reflection, from terrible gin, and from having to acknowledge that the dog ripped out the last 14 pages of Utopia as well. We walk back to her apartment, picking up some beer from the bodega she lives above. She opens the door. There are more paintings on the walls than wall space. There are hundreds of bottles of paint on the floor, stacks of magazines acting as nightstands, empty beer bottles turned candles. More importantly than all of that, a long-haired black cat with one eye, named Momo, rubs up against my ankles. Wow, he usually hates men, she says, and my ego swells 10 sizes. The momentum of my life was picking up, towing me along. I could feel it swell and blur the lines between significant events. Each thing bled into the next. The bar, the book, the girl, the walk, the new apartment. Resisting would have been like trying to paddle out of a riptide. The best you can ever do is cross your arms and try to stay afloat. We crack the window in her closet-sized kitchen, light cigarette after cigarette, drink beer after beer, until she decides it is time to read my tarot cards. Forgive me the lie, Amani, if you ever read this, but I could not care less about my tarot reading. But in this stranger's apartment, so late it is nearly early, I become an enthusiast of all things arcana. I begin to believe that I can feel strange magics in the air. She flips over the 6 of Wands. Her black cat runs past me, and I jump, suddenly aware of all that his presence entails. She tells me the 6 of Wands means I am due for some good fortune, so I give her a kiss. No better wingman in the world than drunken magic. The next day, nursing a hangover in the apartment I am staying at, I receive a text from Imani. I'm going out of town for 3 weeks. Would you want to watch Momo for me? I can't pay you, but you can stay in the apartment for free. I was 22 at the time, so free rent was as close to being rich as I'd ever been. She'd left the key under her mat. Eventually, I had to confront the truth. I would never finish reading Thomas More's Utopia. The dog had undoubtedly chewed, swallowed, and shit the last 14 pages by now. I searched for new reading material in Amani's apartment, and so Charles Simic made his debut in my life. A copy of Walking the Black Cat was slotted into her bookshelf. The spine was uncreased, the pages still unblemished by fingertips. Perhaps she had bought it for the name. I cracked its spine. I scratched Momo's head as I read poem after poem, and then reread them all. I was entranced. In the pages of this book, released in 1996 and a finalist for the National Book Award for Poetry, Simic paints the world, his world, where all outlines are blurred and all objects never cease to end, but instead meld into each other. It is a nod to the imagistic, but with a surreal bent convincing enough to make you doubt your own eyes. He convinces you to look more closely, uncover the unsettling but necessary truth about the world around you. There was an enigmatic quality to his poetry. Certainly it came from the words themselves. Little shadows of mystery seemed to follow them across the page. He gives you the image, and the reader decides what to do with it. For example, in his poem Friends of Heraclitus, he says, "The world we see in our heads, and the world we see daily, so difficult to tell apart." Where I was in the world, an unfamiliar apartment, a black cat in my lap, suddenly felt like a dream. I began pinching myself. I began to run my hands over every object I saw, testing the weight of it, reaffirmed by the mundanity of it, the solidness. Yes, I was in fact in a stranger's apartment. Indeed, I only ended up here because of some shitty bar in Brooklyn. It was only natural, of course, that I would pick this book up because a dog tore out the last 14 pages of Utopia. Absolutely everything is teetering on the edge of everything, with a polite smile. Walking the black cat invited me deeper into his world and deeper into my own. I saw the sun rise through a stranger's window in an even stranger city. I kissed a girl after having my future foretold. I sat for 3 weeks as Momo threaded my legs with black thread over and over again, darting in and out of doorways, prowling after me like a black cat, says Simic on page 1 of his book. Of course, I had to leave that place eventually. When Amani returned and I saw her in the daylight for the first time, with sober eyes, she seemed farther away than she had when we first met. She squinted when she looked at me. Momo was fat and happy, so she gave me a hug. I gave her the key, and I got on a plane to come back home. I read her copy of Walking the Black Cat on the flight. This is my confession. Amani, I'm sorry I stole your book, but in the waning hours of my cat-sitting tenure, sipping tea in your Matchbox kitchen, I could not let go. No doubt you flipped the devil in your next tarot reading. Thanks so much for listening. This was my somewhat atypical introduction to Charles Simic, but beautiful nonetheless. And since reading Walking the Black Cat, I've read 5 or 6 of his collections, and I'm sure I'll make a follow-up video on those books as well. Trying something new. I'd love to know how it landed or what you thought. And thank you so much, as always, for watching. Bye.